I recently got a series of questions from some of my beginner students about reading music. First, do you need to know how to read music for playing the saxophone? Well, no, you could learn everything by ear, but I will say that there are a lot of aspects of playing the saxophone that will eventually rely on your ability to read music and understand music theory. So it is my recommendation to learn how to read music. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't start learning the saxophone until you've learned how to read music. You can start learning to play while you're also getting better at reading sheet music.
TomPlay is one of my favorite tools and truly the most fun for both teaching saxophone and playing on my own. So you get the sheet music to follow along with, which is a great way to practice reading music, but it also shows you the saxophone fingerings for each note. They do have a lot of easier scores for beginners too, which is great. As a teacher, I of course love the built-in teaching tools that allow you to slow down the tempo, loop a small section for practicing, and more. So memberships are currently priced at around $10 a month for their annual plan and $15 a month for monthly billing, which is cheaper and infinitely more fun than most streaming subscriptions. But if you don't want a membership though, you can also just buy individual songs for a few dollars. So check the link in my description for a 14-day free trial and any current discounts available. As always, I will never recommend a tool or product that I don't wholeheartedly believe in.
On that note, learning to read sheet music, it really is kind of a memorization process. So there's not necessarily a shortcut to being able to read the notes on the staff other than practice. But the way that I like to approach it, and I like to have my students approach it, is be familiar with the acronyms like FACE and every good boy does fine, or every good boy deserves fudge, or whatever acronym you like. You can make up your own as well. And just use that as your foundational basis. Now, in my experience for students, and this is how I learned to read music, when you're truly proficient at reading the music, you're not going to be thinking FACE or every good boy does fine. Eventually, you're going to have it memorized to where you just look at the note and you know exactly what it is. It's just automatic. To practice that, there is a website that you can use sort of like flashcards just to help practice that and encourage the memorization process. I'll put a link to this so you can access that a little more easily.
Something else I have my beginner students do when they're learning how to read music is to write the note names in on their sheet music. So print out whatever sheet music we're working on and actually write the note names in, and just get used to seeing the note names along with the notes on the staff. This helps with the memorization process. And then over time, maybe you're just writing in those that you tend to get tripped up on. You can also grab an eraser and play through it several times with the note names written in, and then erase those note names and take off those training wheels. In addition to learning the note names and how to read those note names on the staff, we also have to learn rhythms, how to read rhythms. My top tip for this is to practice counting rhythms with just rhythm exercises. So we're not going to be trying to play our saxophone and also read the note names. We're just going to focus on the rhythm itself. And the free saxophone fundamentals class that we have does go over some of those basic rhythms. You know, how many beats does this type of note get, etc. So the free saxophone fundamentals class is going to help you get an idea of that. And I won't go into too much detail here, but you can get all of our current resources on both memorizing note names and working on rhythms in the video description.
Another question that came up is, should you learn the multiple note names that there are for each fingering on the saxophone? And the same thing is on piano. If you take an A on the piano and you go up a half step, it's going from A and it's going up a half step, meaning sharp. Sharp is a raised pitch. So A, you go up a half a step, it's A sharp. Now if you start on B and you go down half a step, now that's B flat, because flat is lowering the pitch. If you notice, that's the same key. Even though it's A sharp and B flat, different names, we're pressing the same key on the piano. It's called enharmonics, kind of like synonyms. When you're a beginner, you're more likely to hear B flat. You might not hear A sharp mentioned very often, but as you progress in your playing, you're going to start to hear more of these and harmonics being used. So yes, I recommend practicing in this flashcard style with the musictheory.net flashcard exercise, and also working up to naming the different flats and sharps. The beginner's fingering chart PDF that is at playsaxophone.net does share with you what the most common version is. So you'll see in that beginner's fingering chart B flat, F sharp, etc. So you can use that as kind of your guide to see which is going to be most common. But especially if you're feeling, overwhelmed, or there's a lot to learn, then you can prioritize just learning a single, B flat, just learning B flat, not A sharp. Again, keep it in your awareness, but don't beat yourself up over it if you're really only thinking of it as a B flat.